What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's video I want to make short reviews out of the banners that they are giving us entirely since the AOS announcement. I was a little unsure about doing this type of video, but I see some people requesting and I'm here to cover that need. Let's do this and celebrate the end of the game, huh? We have Katarina. Well, Katarina has 120% STR, that's not really high. She's more of a hybrid type of character that offers a lot of support. 104% endurance and 115% will is a very safe value, alongside good values for dexterity and agility too. Nothing else matters. Well, she starts the fight with 17 VP, has 5 VP per turn, then she will cast a attack boost of 20% attack damage increase every turn. She will also give everyone a heat up that will improve damage potential by 15%, max of 5 times, reaching 75% damage increase for everyone. Then she increases damage for everyone by 20% and reduces damage taken for everyone by 30%. This was changed from the JP version where it's just 10%. On the start of a turn, she grants all surviving allies weak defense and resist offense for 1 turn. This is the same passive her past version had, and the latest Amiya as well. What does it do? Well, if your character is landing a weak attack, you will activate the following effects up to 2 times. Defense boost medium, that will decrease damage taken by 20%, lasts for 2 turns, and also an endurance and will buff of 20% value and a very small HP healing. Well, if you have a chase attack, your character will trigger twice. And resist offense is easier to proc because it's if you are resisting an attack, that means that you have 35 points of resistance to that element the enemy is using. You're going to grant yourself an attack boost that will increase your damage potential by 20%. You're also going to self-buff STR dexterity and intelligence by 20%, and also get 1 BP. Can trigger 2 times, meaning that 2 BP can be very useful if the enemy is using multiple AoEs. Well, because she already gives other effects, that's pretty nice. She then has a 40% damage increase for herself all times, and reduces damage taken at all times as well, but for 40%. Then, when she lands an attack, she recovers 1 extra BP and grants herself heat up. This increases her damage potential by 30%, max of 5 times per battle, for a total of 150. When she attacks, she chases with Acrobatic Glacier. That is a 4-hit attack with deep power. That's actually pretty strong for what it is slash and cold damage. In this case, she's trying to compete with the first Kihachi that also has both elements. Now, when activating the skill called Threefold Ice Flower, that is her 3rd one, that can only be used 3 times per battle and will never recharge. You will then recover all surviving allies HP by around 1,500 and also recover 3 BP for everyone too. But now, what is this attack? Before attacking, she grants herself a slash and cold attack boost. Both have 55% damage increase, and then activates Elegant Petals. This is an AoE slash and cold attack that will also buff users STR by 40%. That's right. And then we'll use Scattered Petals. That is triple S power attack, also slash and cold. And this one also gives her another slash and cold attack boost of the same values, 55% on max level. And then she chases once more with Free Wind Short. That hits between 2 to 3 times against Slash and Cold and will apply defense boost for everyone, decreasing damage taken by 15% with each attack. That's a lot of effects, and you still have to consider that she will then chase with Acrobatic Glacier. So 4 attacks for 70 BP, that's why she starts with 17. It is hard to get enough BP to keep using, but if paired up with both Lolo and Suna, you can, especially because they are also slash based. So it's okay to use them all together, especially if you also have Dolores, because Dolores also helps slash damage dealers anyway. And she's much better paired up with them instead of someone like Amiya. You can still bring someone like Diva, for example, and make the full party. Well, the Free Range Word is also probably her best inheritance, because she does have other attack called Frost Break. That is single target and it applies defense boost. But it's just 1 defense boost that decreases damage taken by 25%. Free Short gives you 15% up to 3 times, so you can get more defense boost. But she also buffs Endurance, Fuel, Love, and Charisma by 30%. So depending on the fight, if you prefer to have status buffs, then defense boost, choose the one you want. There's also the first skill called Azure Ice Blade, that's slash and cold 2, but it hits 2 times for 2 BP. It's just something you use if you don't have enough BP. Katarina is nice because of the 2 effects, weak defense and resist offense, and having access to threefold ice flower to use on specific moments where you need extra BP generation, healing, and a lot of damage. Does not replace Kihachi as a full damage dealer, but they can also be used together. You can also work well when using with 4 Neos if you want to use a full cold squad. And the other inheritance just don't really matter that much. Katarina is a nice character that will receive a 4.5 because of her passives, but would also be very easy to skip if people got a Mia. Now let's move into the next character we have is Monika. Monika has very low endurance, just 89% and 100% will. And then dexterity is on 134%, that is just okay, alongside the other status not really being that high. Well, on the start of battle she has 12 BP, and she grants all surviving allies a 50% increase for pierce attacks, and then a 50% increase for sun attacks, so characters that have both pierce and sun will do more damage. People like Xenon, for example, and Monika herself, and even Mikhail. When she attacks, she always chases with this attack called Outta the Universe, that hits 5 times with both pierce and sun any power. Does not do as much damage as you think, she's not here for damage. Then on the start of a turn, she grants all surviving allies the passive called Princess Assault and Princess Protect. And then on every 3 turns, she casts once more, so that you can actually sometimes have double the effects. What does the Princess Assault do? When landing pierce attacks, you are going to activate the following. Attack boost that improves damage potential by 10% for everyone, 2 turns and stack, and also recover your BP by 3. That is something that is given to leaders. Yeah, Monika is a pierce leader. And then Princess Protect. When you land a sun attack, you're going to trigger a defense boost that decreases damage taken for everyone by 10% for 2 turns and stack, and they will also self-recover HP by around 400. If you manage to bring attackers that have both pierce and sun, you're gonna have all the effects stacked, but it is hard to make that type of decision since any characters will have either one element or the another. And I don't know what's the best part. One is offensive, the other is defensive, both are useful. Defensive boosts are important to survive in some fights. Good thing is that Monika will then allow you to have double the effects every 3 turns, and if she's the only one doing sun attack, she still can give you something. Call it defense boost. But she doesn't do much damage, like I said. She has 30% damage increase at all times, but then 30 for pierce, 30 for sun, and reduce damage taken at all times by 30% too. Skill number 1, Shining Pierce, is single target pierce and sun, and there is a chance to buff the enemy's intelligence by 15%. Well, her intelligence is just 92, it's not that good for more recent content. And then skill 2, Weak Grant. This is very similar to how you can use Dark It. Before attacking, grants the enemy Weak Marker for pierce and Weak Marker for sun for 3 turns. That means that when you land a pierce attack, you're gonna decrease the pierce defense of the enemy by 10%, lasts for 2 turns and stack. And then Weak Marker for sun, 10% as well. But that is on the target, meaning that every other character in your party that uses either pierce or sun or both will actually trigger 2 defense downs. But then again, you have to cast this. It's not like Madeline and other characters where you can just keep casting via passive. Then we have skill number 3, Princess Trust. That's single target pierce and sun. Before attacking, grants all surviving allies a pierce and sun attack boost of medium effect. Buff values will be 35% on max level, and they last for 2 turns, so if you use this twice, you can actually stack and increase damage for everyone if you want. But then okay, is that really make an impact? I don't know. It's because she tries to increase the damage of 2 different elements instead of 1. If it was just 1, it could have probably make her much better. And the defensive part comes from sun, and offensive part comes from pierce. It is easier to bring pierce attackers for remembrance, for example, because you're going to have pierce available in Ness's words, and you're going to give 3 BP for everyone. She still has a Abyssal and UniverSe, will do good damage versus some boss fights, but the defensive part won't trigger every time. Well, there's no really need for any inheritance, but if you have her latest style, you can get the galloping charge attack that if you are in a fast stance, then you will require the specific formation that gives you a fast stance to trigger Princess Charm twice per turn, because it's when attacking. So her Eclat and UniverSe will also trigger this. And you're gonna give up to 6 defense boost, up to 6 attack boost, and up to 6 BP cost reduction for the party. Nonetheless, this Monika is not really that special. I think she would deserve only a 3.5 out of 5. Then moving on, we have Ellen, and Ellen is a damage dealer with a lot of effects. 141% STR is very high, 106% endurance and 103% will are at least safe. Their status won't matter too much. She starts the fight with her Overdrive Gauge fully filled and 15 BP as well. Then, on the start of a turn, she buffs all status for everyone by 20%, will then apply a defense boost and decrease damage taken for all of them by 15%, and also 3 stacks of 5% defense up that decrease damage taken by 5%. Then, she will grant Over and Enhance to herself, that improves her overdrive damage by 50%, 2 times. Then everyone will get this effect called Rending Power. When landing an attack that is slash or blunt, you're going to activate the following only once: 2 BP, an HP recover of around 400, a defense boost to self that decreases damage taken by 20%, lasts for 2 turns, so you can have 2 times, and also a end of turn OG Gauge, 25 points, and ailment resistance buff. Well, this is very nice. She becomes a slash and blunt leader, and it's super easy to find those 2 elements. Most characters will have some sort of physical that is based on either slash or blunt, unless they are based on pierce. So many characters will work well with Ellen and get all of these effects. But there's more. Then she triggers this effect to all enemies. That's called Battle Marker. If you use slash or blunt attacks versus the enemies, you're gonna trigger all status debuff of 10% and a defense down that increases the defenses by 20% for that turn only. So she is also a debuffer enabler. Max of 3 times, meaning that you can debuff the enemy up to 30% with just one of your characters. Ellen will be debuffing the enemy. And even Ellen can attack 3 times via her skills. Besides, when landing an attack, she recovers 1 BP and grants all surviving allies an attack boost that improves their damage potential by 20%, lasts for 3 turns and stacks. On the end of a turn, she always charges her Overdrive Gauge and then recovers all surviving allies HP by around 400. So they can already recover via landing attacks, and they will also recover by the end of turn. She has a little bit of everything. Then she increases her damage potential at all times by 30%, and then 80% on combo, 80% on overdrive, and both can stack, reduce damage taken at all times by 30% too. Now, for our skills, we have 3 skills with extra effects. For example, Azure Smash single target, this case is just slash. Before attacking, grants the user Super Chain attack for 3 turns. So on overdrive, you will then chase with Assault Command. What is Assault Command? Assault Command is an A-power single target attack, just slash damage, but buffs STR Dexterity Intelligence by 20% for all allies. Okay, that's not the best attack. The second one is single target blunt attack, also same cost, 8 PP S power, and then we'll give Rock Throwing Axe as a chase on overdrive. And this skill is blunt based and does the same, but it's indirect and buffs same status as STR Dexterity and Agility. Not intelligence, you can see, because, well, mages that do slash are wind mages. The third one, Ascending Crimson Strike, is the best one. Why? Because this one will give you both chases, but this time for just 2 turns. It's a triple S power attack with 15 BP, meaning that you will be able to stack this, for example, and use it twice. It means that you can get 4 attacks with the usage of this skill. With the other ones, you can get only 3 attacks, because you use this and then lasts for 3 turns, and then you can eventually have 3 effects. So overdrive, you attack and chase 3 times. With the third one, overdrive, and then you're gonna chase 2 times with 1 attack, 2 times with another attack. So a lot of BP to use it. 15, it's hard to, but already complicated. but she already gives way too much to the party via her effects that recover HP, BP, defense boost, overdrive points, ailment resistance. She also allows everyone to debuff with easy type. She just doesn't give you buff break like, I don't know, Minstrel does, but Ellen is a meta character that works super well. As for inheritance, nothing really matters, but you can, for example, use Saturn Blade that gives you up to 5 extra AP by the end of a turn, but then she will have a slower start. But if your other characters are debuffing the enemy, you can reach 0 damage easily. Ellen would have been a 5 out of 5 in my grading system. It was the best character of this banner. Then we have SaGa, and she is a O user with very good damage, 139% dexterity, 92% endurance, but goodwill with 108%. Nothing here really matters too much. She starts the fight with 12 BP, fills her overdrive gauge to the max, and grants herself 3 turns of damage block. Kinda similar to Joe, she won't take damage. Also, when attacking one overdrive, she will chase with Fate Blasting Arrows. That is a 3-hit deep power attack that will recover HP for everyone on each attack. So her love is actually pretty okay, 68%. She's going to recover around 1,500 HP easily, and doing okay damage at the same time. And then she also chases with Shining Fate Arrows. This is a 3-hit attack, E power instead of D, but it's Piercing Sun. So that means that she also combos well with Monika, for example. And then it gives you all allies attack boost of 15% with each attack, a defense boost of 10% with each attack, and then also buffs all status by 5% on each attack. So plenty of different effects on overdrive, and by the end of a turn she always recharges her overdrive and gives 25 points of overdrive gauge for everyone, while still recovering extra 3 BP for a total of 6. On the start of a turn, she then buffs all surviving allies status by 20% as well, gives them an attack boost of 15% damage increase, and then a hit up of 10%, max of 5 times per battle. Very useful. And then gets 30% damage increase at all times, and then applies defense up, decreasing damage taken by 15%, 5 times per battle. So she starts slow, but decreases damage taken by quite a lot after the end. As far as skill, the first one, Sunlight Arrow, is pretty easy. Free, E power and attack boost of 15%. You're only going to use this if you don't have VP. Then the second one is called Felicity Arrow. It's fast. All allies can use it twice per battle. And this one will recover HP of everyone by 0 to max. Will also revive if needed. And will grant an attack boost of 60% and a defense boost of 30%. Both last for 4 turns. You can even cast it again to have double the effects because they stack. But it's also very useful on Remembrance battle if you need in some specific fights where the boss keeps getting stronger. Use it later and then you're going to reduce damage taken. And then the third skill is the same one that you can use on the chase. So Fate Blasting Arrows, 3 times the power attack that recovers HP. So if you use this attack and then chase with it, you're going to recover like 3000 HP in that turn. That is from 0 to max, just like Felicity Arrow can also be used at a max potential. So SaGa is very useful because she's a bow user. Since she's free, use her for all bow remembrance, you're gonna have some fun. It's not just for remembrance though, her effects are very nice. Would be useful in some hard challenges too. I believe that SaGa deserves a 4.5 out of 5. Then we have Khalid. Yes, we got a new Khalid. 125% SGR, but just 100% endurance and 97% will. Actually, none of his status are really high. He starts the fight with 12 BP, increases his damage by 40%, reduces damage taken by 30%, and then grants all surviving allies 3 different effects when using lightning attacks. First one, when leading lightning attacks, you are going to get a defense boost that decreases damage taken by 10% and lasts for 2 turns. And then you are also going to recover your HP by 400, and then you are also going to buff your endurance and will by 20%. The good thing about this all is that there is no limit. So if your character attacks multiple times, it's gonna get all of these buffs. On the start of a turn, he also gets Khamsin Mastery. It's a passive that will improve the damage of all skills with the name Demilune. It triggers 3 times per battle and it will increase damage by 240% by turn 3 onwards. When landing an attack, he always recovers 1 BP. And then he also always chases with Demi-Lune Plus. This one will be improved. It's a single target attack with slash and lightning attack boost. The skill is just be power then. He will then chase with Demi-Lune Echo Plus. This time it's a triple S power attack but also has slash and lightning attack boosts. Then he has other chains that are not guaranteed, they are based on RNG. 50% chance to chase Demi-Lune Burst Plus, that is AoE attack that also chases again with Demi-Lune Echo, that has S power. And then also chains with Demi-Lune Chain. This will give lightning sequence to everyone in the party, that is pretty weak attack boost, 15% for 2 turns. Up to 3 times when attacking with lightning attacks. Well, he will always be attacking with lightning attacks, but the companions we cannot be sure. Then he also has a 25% chance to always chase with Demi-Lune Surge 2 times. That is his skill number 3. Single target slash and lightning, triple S power, 12 BP cost, and will also give him a slash and lightning attack boost, but only for this turn specifically. So you can actually use this attack and then chase twice extra alongside all the other chases. This character attacks multiple times. He also has Battle Switch. When attacking with Slash, he will be buffing all surviving allies status by 5%, and when attacking with Lightning, we will debuff all enemies by 5% as well. That's just like Silver was from that 4 news banner. Well, depending on good RNG, you can actually buff a lot and buff a lot too. Unreliable, but depending on the fight, you only need to win once, right? Then the skill number 1 is Spin Lightning Slash. It's just a free attack that also gives 50% chance to trigger lightning attack boost for 2 turns. Then his second skill is called Thunder Ascension Supreme, and something that you're gonna use on the start of the fight. It gives all other surviving allies these effects. Their lightning damage will be improved by 20%. When they attack, they will also self-recover HP by around 400. By the end of a turn, they will cleanse from all ailments and also recover HP by around 1,500. But this only lasts for 4 turns, not for the whole fight. Then he will also grant all surviving allies, now this time including himself, a lightning attack boost for 4 turns and also a weak attack boost for 4 turns. So you start the fight, use this attack, and then you keep using the third one when you have enough BP. He can attack so many times and then improve the lightning and slash damage. He combos super well with Kihachi, but also with Madeline. Madeline also has defense boost, so it's really useful and easy to use together. You can use those 3 characters and they are going to destroy the enemy easily. Well, Khalid is more of a specialist than anything else. And as for inheritance, Khalid does not really benefit too much for most. But if you want, you can go and inherit Demi-Lune Burst Plus. So that one is cheaper and he's gonna recover more BP. And it's a 2-hit attack. You can still theoretically use him also as an evasive counter with Impasse Moon. But I don't think it's something really worth, since most tanks are much better than Khalid, as if you wanted that. Now, let's go into Mikhail. Mikhail has 121% dexterity, just 99% endurance and 96% will. Still does have some intelligence. Moving on, he starts the fight with 12 BP and grants all surviving allies elemental attack blessings when using pierce attacks. Grants self-defense boost small, 10%, lasts for 2 turns and stack. Then, every time, 3 BP per turn. Grants all enemies weak marker. Much better than Monika's version. Weak marker will make it so that when you attack the enemy, you can debuff SGR and intelligence of the enemy. So that you can use him as a way to debuff enemies, but you have to bring a Pierce squad. All remembrance is easy to build. Then there is Elemental Enhanced Pierce that will increase Pierce damage by 30% 5 times per battle for a total of 150% damage increase. Then when landing an attack, he always chases with Screwdriver. Screwdriver Plus has triple S power, can debuff SGR and agility of the enemy by 15% because it's rank 1. And also when attacking on Overdrive, always chases with Justice Cross. That is his farmer version AoE attack with double hit or triple hit C power. Very powerful on Remembrance versus Hana Warrior, and that was meant to be used there. Okay, at the end of a turn, he gets 45 points of OG Dodge. On the start of a turn, grants an attack boost for everyone of 15% attack boost. He also gives yet another elemental enhanced spears, this time 20%, up to 5 times per battle. So he improves everyone's damage by 250 for Pierce. He then has 80% damage increase at all times and reduces damage taken by 30% at all times too. Skill 1 is Skilled Stab on Node 1. It's just single target deep power and can buff dexterity by 30%. Something that you use when you don't have enough BP. Then he has Perfidy. This is a once per fight usage that grants the target 3 attack downs of extreme effect. That means that the enemy will do much less damage for the first 3 attacks. And you also grant false victory. At the start of a turn, the enemy will self-inflict morale down. That will decrease their damage by 35%. And they will also self-debuff SGR Dexterity, Intelligence, and Will by 25%. Very nice. Will helps versus Roadblocker if you want to stun. But it also helps in any fight if the enemy uses SGR Dexterity or Intelligence for damage. Then skill number 3 is Royal Sting. It's a single target fast pierce attack that hits twice with C power. But each hit can debuff the enemy SGR and Intelligence by 20%. We are already debuffing via this skill, so Mikhail is actually a multi-purpose character. He can help you decrease damage taken, he can help you debuff the enemy, and he can also increase your pierce damage. Mikhail for me is better than Monika, and I used him in her place on Remembrance. If you want to clear last moment Remembrance battles, bring both if you don't have any others. But his skill tree is not that strong. It looks to me that you wanted to do something else, and even then quadruple pierce can do more damage from his global axe style. And you can also inherit Justice Cross to attack twice with that in overdrive, or MacLeod and UniverSe if you want to do more damage again. Mikhail is a good one, and he would have had received a 4 out of 5 because he's still a specialist, but a very good one at least. Then let's move into the next. That will be Thomas. And Thomas is a hybrid like always, 125% SGR and Intelligence. He has 95% Endurance, 97% Will. Those are actually bad values. Dexterity and agilities are on the 90s at least. Then starts the fight with 13 BP and grants himself a defense up that decreases damage taken by 20% for the whole fight. Then he does have 80% damage improvement for the whole fight and also decreases damage taken again by 30%. By the end of a turn, he always gets 3 BP, so total of 6. And for the first 5 turns, he also recovers another extra 7. So he will have BP to keep using his best attacks, the ones that are actually pretty strong. But Thomas then gives a lot of different buffs for the whole party, including himself. An attack boost of 50%, damage increase. This weak attack boost, if I'm not mistaken, is also 50%. And then a blunt and pierce attack boost, those will be 60%, and a weak heat up that increases damage for 30% when landing weak attacks. A new heat up 30%, so max of 60 just from those two, then landing weak attacks. But then Thomas also gives plenty of other buffs to the party. He'll give you an attack boost, a weak attack boost, blunt attack boost, and pierce attack boost. Of course, you will always be stacking the attack boost and the weak attack boost, but you have to bring characters that bring either blunt or pierce damage to benefit from these other two. There's also a heat up and a weak heat up. Each have 30% value, and also elemental enhanced blunt that will improve damage for the whole fight by 30% for blunt and 30% for pierce. And he has plenty of different effects when using his skills. First one is just there. Rock Sting is a single target blunt and pierce attack that can stun, so that you can use in a road blocker. It can also debuff, but it's not used for that. But you have 2 different attacks that are both pierce and blunt. One is spell based and the other is spear based. Both are just single target with 4S power, and both to give him a heat up that will improve damage by 20%. They can only use it 5 times per battle, but because his buffs last for 10 turns. He was meant to be used like this. Both attacks can also reduce his own endurance by 15%, ridiculous. So depending on the skill that you choose, well, they are good, but you can decide if you want to use the spell version or the physical version. Thomas will need to use an Earth Elemental Spear anyway. Both will trigger different attacks. That is the same attack again. Yeah, he double attacks with that. So the heat up, it's actually 40% every turn to improve his damage more and more. But when attacking with skills, he will give an attack boost for skill that has 30% and lasts for 5 turns. And when attacking with spells, he would give an attack boost for spells that increases 30%, lasts for 5 turns. Depends on your squad composition. If you are bringing too many physical attackers, use that skill version, call it Chasing Pierce. If you're bringing too many spellcasters, use Rush Crush. It's usually better to use Chasing Pierce since it's easier to bring physical attackers, because remember, he will be improving the damage of Blunt and Pierce, and those are easier to find on physical damage dealers. Thomas is good for remembrance, but not good for anything else. He at least does have damage reduction passives and can survive well, but after 10 turns it's over, like Summerlean and some other characters. Well, Thomas does not benefit too much from inheritances, but there is Life Rock Shield that can be used once, and then it will give 2 BP recover by blunt attack for the squad. And that's actually pretty nice depending on boss behavior. It does give a very good edge if you are fighting someone like the Megalith Dragon or even Hana Warrior. Okay, Thomas is nice, but on the same time, not really all that important. It will have received a 3.5 out of 5 from my grading system. The last one will be Julian, and he has 110% endurance and 107% will. Those are okay values. We have already seen higher ones for tanks, and 117% STR is okay. Starts the fight with 12 BP and then grants himself Formal Stance, permanent in battle. Formal Stance is the same one that he got in his first really good style, where he taunts and then applies stealth to all other allies. So by turn 2, you already have something that will give you a lot of chance of being attacked. Then he enters defensive counter stance that lasts for 4 turns, as you can see here. And that means that on turn 1 he counters 4 times, and then 3 times, then 2 times, then 1 time. The counter attack is Flying Blade. That is Slash and Lightning attack with double S power. Slash and Lightning probably because of Khalid, so they can bring them together. And it has a chance to stun, that's why he has high intelligence. Why stun? Because of Road Blocker. And when he lands an attack, he grants all surviving allies an attack boost of 15% for 2 turns in stack, and he gives himself a defense boost with decreased damage taken by 20% in stacks. He will also be buffing SGR Dexterity and Intelligence of everyone by 15% when he lands an attack. He'll also recover his own HP by around 401 BP. That is so that he can keep giving effects to the party, and he was made so that he can counter super well on the start, but eventually falls off. When he's attacked, he decreases damage taken by 30% and then by another 30%. And when he lands an attack that is counter, 80% damage increase, but he also increases damage at all times by 20%. And as long as everyone is alive, you have 30% damage reduction alongside 10% damage increase for everyone. Skill number 1 is Gleaming Slash Plus. This is a Slash and Sun attack that is free and buffs SGR by 25% before attacking. It's okay, you use it when you don't have enough BP for something else. You do have Flash Flurry, that's the second skill that hits 4 times random enemies with E power, and it has 10% chance to buff any of the status. So this attack is actually very similar to his other one that was called Starry Rush, but Starry Rush hits between 2 to 4 times, so there's no guarantee. And the difference is that it also has pierce damage, while this skill here is just slash, as you can see. I think it's a little too costly, should have been lower, maybe 10 BP. And then the third one is Strike Reflect, that is fast, single target slash damage with double S power, same cost 12. And after attacking, the end user enters defensive counter stance for 2 turns and then counterattacks with Flying Blade. Flying Blade is a slashing lightning attack. We already saw that. It's the same one that comes from the passive. That means that if he uses his skill on turn 1, he's gonna counter 5 times. That's right. Then on the second turn, if you use again, you can still counter 5 times because the defensive counter stance lasts for 2 turns. And then it was gonna deplete turn by turn. When you reach turn 5 and beyond, you can only stack 2 counters. 2 counters still not bad. It's still a lot. But Julian does not offer too much to the party when you think about defensive effects. Besides the Super Scrum Guard that increases damage taken by 30%, the offensive buff is only when he's attacking. So the defensive part feels a little neglected here. But then, if you counter too much, it's kind of like how Jiva helps out increasing damage output. But Jiva chooses a specific turn where she will unleash many attacks and buff a lot, while Julian has more of a turn-by-turn potential increase. Well, the problem is that Julian is just Slash, and just Slash means that he also competes with Jiva directly, although Jiva needs to get hit to get a chase for overdrive, and Julian can eventually do more damage depending on the situations than Jiva. But Jiva gives defense boost when she's hit, and also buffs endurance and will. And that is super important in some fights, while Julian is more offensive than anything else. So Julian is good, he's not as good as Jiva, and well, Wagner's was a character that also had a good impact. Julian does more damage, but Wagner's offers more defensive, and I think he would have received a 4.5 out of 5 if we were still using our grading system. As for inheritance, you could have got that Sword and Shield Dance from his latest style. This will give him extra taunt, but you're going to waste 1 turn without using skill tree. And there is also Star Liberation if you want the extra defense up. But I do believe that you're better off just using him as he is, because if you are using other skills, you're not countering as much. Well, that's it, my friends. This is the end of the video. I'm here just to celebrate these characters that we can use for a while before the game shuts down. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Click the like button and leave a comment if you can. And I see you soon in the next video or live stream. Goodbye.